Half the Sky games were developed by Games for Change, which actually came up with the Half the Sky, the game, on Facebook. And with this game, it's actually an inspiration for 3 mobile games: a deworming game, a pregnancy game, and a family choices game. And we've later gone on to develop story apps from this game. When you win a game, you actually get to donate treatment for fistula fixing, or a book for a girl's education. So to a library for girls' education. So it's where we're saying we want to actually play games to impact development. When it comes to programmatic work, we're working in Kibera with Shining Hope for Communities, that's Shovco, and in Kawangware with Young Women Leaders Institute. So with our curriculum, we have like 6 thematic areas. That's education, female genital mutilation, we have economic empowerment, we have reproductive health and maternal health. So we take members of the community through an 8-week module to actually measure if attitudes and behaviors are being changed.
Agnes Lena is one of the directors of Anti-FGM board, but runs the Ilaramata community concerns. And so she's got a strength when it comes to community dialogue. Dialoguing with communities, it's a debate amongst communities, and then at the end of the day, we should arrive at a conclusion that is a win-win for each one of us.
Naloruna rumore Agnes, whatever rumore, naisho nairoria na joki kore na naroye, nikibonu Agnes nikipuo adol kuna royie tiatua sajiloni, etii sukuul oosajiloni, nikinteru apa aisaidia nena royie. Nayau nanu enkang' ai ntoyie karibu 3, nalotu aaku kaing'orr torusa, naing'orr ate ebolo sukuul, nikiendeleza apa aisaidia na Agnes mpaka tanakata ketii nena toyie sukuul, egira aiendelea aisuma esidai mpaka tanakata, neeku eton ake etii sukuul.
For us, Pastoralist communities, our culture, our traditions are more emotional to us than education. Education is not an emotional issue for us. It's not. It's not your number 1 issue to be ticked off. But getting circumcised, getting married is something that you must tick off.
Communities who are practicing FGM, the law has been brought so that it can protect them from this harmful cultural practice. And I'm grateful to the President for putting in place the prohibition of FGM law, and of course the board to implement that act, because there are many girls who are left behind because of culture.
Right, yes, very excited this morning. Of course, shy. My sister is here, everybody. I might as well just introduce the world to my beautiful sister. Hi, Rosa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay.
This is Juliani Sasa. Umeketi in between my dada.
In between.
Wezesha Dada, kwanza ndio hashtag.
Ndo madada sasa.
Thank you for being here, Juliani.
Nashukuru.
How are you guys doing?
We're good.
Excellent. So I think it is important that we start from the very beginning so Kenyans can understand what the Wezesha Dada movement is all about. Rosa, we'll start with you. When did all this start?
Wezesha Dada is really anchored in Half the Sky movement. And Half the Sky movement, as we've been here before and we've articulated it, it's from a book titled Half the Sky by Nicholas Kristof and Sheryl Wudan. So what it really is that Nicholas Kristof, as he told his stories on different issues around the world, he just found that half of the populations of the world are made up of women, and these women were being marginalized in one area or the other. And so he thought this doesn't even make sense economically. He just wanted to challenge governments and ask, where do you see yourself economically if half of your populations are marginalized? And so he just said, I'm going to document this, put it in a book. Then after putting it in a book, he was like, no, these are real stories. He now contacted Show of Force, a production company, and they went again to these countries and turned the book into a documentary. So it's a 2-part, 4-hour documentary. So with this documentary that premiered in the States in 2012, they actually made so much success because people were like, these are real stories, and they were using Hollywood actresses and actors to actually champion this and to actually highlight issues of women. It resonated with people because there were issues like sex trafficking, gender-based violence, female genital mutilation in Somaliland, economic empowerment in Liberia, and people were like, we want to actually see what goes on in the lives of women, but using the media. And so he said, how can we actually come up with a transmedia tools project? So Show of Force actually went ahead and applied to USAID and said, we can actually have a gender project, but that has to do with the media. And so with Games for Change, they came together with this documentary to make Half the Sky the game on Facebook, which is really the inspiration of many other games that you can play on your mobile, like the pregnancy health game. Okay. So this is really like a pilot project that started in Kenya in 2014, coming to an end in December, and in India also. And so what we wanted to do with Wezesha Dada Inua Jamii is to say we wanted to localize Half the Sky, so to speak. Because when we had our stakeholders meeting, what we found out was that people loved the documentaries. They were like, yes, they are real stories. You see Gabriel Union, you see George Clooney, you see all these people, but we also have stories in Kenya. And we want our own celebrities to be the face of these stories. We've been doing work in the field when it comes to all these issues. We want these women highlighted. Okay. That's why we came up with a campaign, Wezesha Dada Inua Jamii, to encourage the media to actually air more stories on women, positive stories, and even ills that just don't seem to get away from women. And we wanted to use our own celebrities. And Giuliani, being so passionate about women, we approached him and said, could you please do a song for the campaign for us?
All right, yes. Giuliani, a reason to sing. And it's become very obvious when Yule Mseyani unakuanga issue-based, conscious music.
Nina my issues. Kama magazine.
Yeah. So I want you to expound for us, kwa nini this campaign particularly was close to your heart? Why did you decide to get involved?
First of all, of course, I watched the documentary and I was exposed to some of the things that are happening, and of course we didn't, as I said earlier, that we didn't come because of we didn't do it for the way women are suffering kind of thing. Yes. We came from an angle of women have better things to do than fight for their rights. Somebody should take care of that so that they can take care of themselves and take care of their country and whatever. But despite them going through all this, they managed to smile, they managed to be beautiful and to take time in the mirror. Yeah. So it means they're stronger than they're supposed to. I mean, they're stronger than we expect them to. So let that energy that they're using to fight all these ills that are in the society, somebody should take care of those ills, and then they focus on building the country and whatever. Okay. And of course, I have a daughter, a 9-month-old. So
congratulations.
Yeah, so at least sasa najaribu kutengeneza barabara.
Unaanza pahali at least nataka ni pahali padogo.
Hiyo na gani.
Right. Now, one of the things we have to talk about, I think, is where we are as a country when it comes to gender-based issues, and the fact that this debate has been ongoing for so long. When we look at the Millennium Development Goals, and now that we're into the Sustainable Development Goals, how far have we come? Are we still dealing with the same issues when it comes to gender-based violence, when it comes to marginalization, when it comes to lack of access, education, health? Where are we? And what does this campaign actually do to ensure that that gap is becoming smaller?
I think we're at a good place because we're talking about it. People are sensitized in many areas, but it's where we're saying we cannot lose the momentum. You can't stop talking about FGM because you think you've been talking about it for 20 years, because it's a cultural issue. And if you don't change the attitudes and mindsets and do so creatively in many communities, then you will lose momentum. So we're at a place where, yes, we've seen a lot of numbers in Parliament, but we still want the 2/3 passed. We're at a place where the FGM Act has been put into place by the President, so we are happy about that. We are at the place where the President is actually now working with women and saying he wants to champion women's causes in this country. So if we keep that momentum and keep having a political goodwill that enhances that, then we'll be at a good place in about 10 years.
Okay.
Yes.
The two of you coming together to create this song, I think it's a beautiful thing, especially when you create conscious music. But what was the concept for this song? We're about to see it. It's brand new, everybody. It's a great jam. But tell me a little bit about the creative process behind this. What are some of the key messages that you had to make sure were in this song? And what do you want people to know in terms of the overall message?
I think of course we shared with Rose about what they wanted captured, but now when it comes to the lyrics and writing it, what we wanted to bring out or showcase is that women have been able to fight all these things, have been able to go through all these things, and they still manage to smile. They still manage to be beautiful. They still manage to, so there's something to learn about the strength of a woman. So that's what we wanted to do. We didn't want to be like, help the women and they are suffering. No, let's just enhance the energy or direct the energy that the women have to better things.
Okay. Yeah. Rosa, what kind of impact do you want and hope that this song has? And not just, for it to trend a little bit, but long term, for it to really be a message about where we are. What was your overall plan when you were conceptualizing this with Juliani?
First of all, strategically, it helps to have a man speaking on gender issues. When they say gender, they think of women. But they're really, gender is just roles assigned to you by society. But it's where we're saying we want a man as the face of this to say that it's not a tiring message to say empower a girl child. So that's the number one thing, that you will see the face of a man. The second thing is that it will resonate with young people. Like, young people will hear the song and they'll be like, "Iningoma poa, I want to play this thing." Being that it's Juliani, they'll be like, "Oh, this is the same guy who did this." So the fact that it can stay in the market for a long time, yes, it can be trending, but for the fact that it has a very good message for young people.
All right, let's listen to that message right now. Here it is, the Jam, Juliani, another hit, obviously. Take a look, everybody.
All the reasons I have to dismay, all the pain, all the heart, I should be afraid. When I see the odds, I'm again. Another chance for me to be great. Look at my nails, you can't tell. My smile as well. For me it's a blessing when you naka naka through class, school line periodic table. Mwili na go change as period, go disable. Could make it this far, sing the far. Majibu na pima na lita, sisi kilomita. Lupita kiwa cut, movie director. Kwa vile tukisikia cut, practice the ancestors. Unaweza niambia siezi leadership. Hebu try kubalance kwa kichwa kibuja baji. Kwa mgongo mtoto clinic. Na kwa chama kulipa deni. Still got time for my mirror. Naona clearer. Mascara. All the reasons I have to dismay, all the pain, all the heart, I should be afraid. When I see the odds I'm against, not a chance for me to be great. We'll make it better for my daughter. You're more than your body features. Hope zako zipande na jua kila asubuhi. Uvae sasa sky dress twaza bui bui. Hizo sports ndio inafanya itwe chui. Never worry about your past. Reflection ya broken glass. None better than unakaa fabulous. Mkono lifisha pete kukurisifu kwa aisle. Hi-fi kukupa black eye. All the reasons I have to dismay, all the pain, all the heart, I should be afraid. When I see the odds I'm against, not a chance for me to be great.
For all the chances that I got, I thank God for every one of them. And I know there ain't no stopping no for me. Unaweza dada we, usikere na lolote. Timiza ndoto zako and reach for them. Unaweza mama we, usikere na lolote. Timiza ndoto zako and reach for them.
Bwana kukua wiki qualified as umama. Try kubeba life for 9 months kuzaa. Kuleta infants ni blessing si cars. Na alafu ndio tuonanana na umama. Agenda sio issue ya agenda. Ukitaka kujua aje kuna enda denda. Uwe Instagram una post kwa boardroom up and about. Aunge mind a carpet of red rose petal kwa flow. A box of chocolate kuku metro. Bila hizo you're still special. Amini ni the same person. Ukitoka boutique sip some mursik kwa airport ukirudi. Wazazi wazazi walikataa kupewa few cows, instead wakapeana more cows for your education. All the reasons I have to dismay, all the pain, all the heart, I should be afraid. When I see the odds I'm against, another chance for me to be great.
Wezesha dada we, inuacha mi, timiza ndoto zake, reach for them. Wezesha dada we, inuacha mi, timiza ndoto zake, reach for them.
I'm asking them, how did you two guys become friends? I thought I knew everything about my sister. How did you meet Rosa? And Rosa, how did you meet Giuliani?
Through Emily Treat. She's the vice president of Games for Change. So when she came here, she had a meeting with Giuliani, and I was like, who? You know Giuliani? She said, yeah, we've been talking on email. And I'm like, okay. She goes, you want to meet him? I was like, of course, I want to meet Giuliani.
Yeah.
So of course we had dinner, and then we talked about Games for Change. And we found out that he loves gaming a lot, and he wanted to do something in that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how we met, through somebody from Boston. So.
I love it. Connections right here in Nairobi from afar.
Yeah.
Giuliani, for you, of course, having made such a big name for yourself in the music industry and still continuing to do so, why is it important for public figures, for celebrities, for people who are role models or considered as such to step up when it comes to campaigns such as this one?
I think musicians have a responsibility to even in the old days scripture, when people are going for a fight, the first people who were on the line were musicians. They were not the guys with the swords. So musicians can direct a certain, can change it. Music and art is one of the best tools to change people's minds and to direct people's minds in the right direction. So I think every artist, anybody who's in art, have a responsibility to do that.
Okay, right. So we have a caller on the line, I think would like to contribute and ask a question. She's got an interesting name. I hope I get it right. Euphrasia? Good morning.
Good morning, Kobe. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I
Excellent.
think that's quite an interesting discussion, and I really like the way that the video that Giuliani has done is depicting the role of women in the African society. I think as the media, you guys have a big role in making sure that young girls cannot do not live up to a particular standard, because the challenge of what the media usually shows young girls out here is that for you to be successful, it's about the white-collar jobs, to be in suits, to be in heels, to have a nice weave, etc. But women are contributing to the economy in a very major way, especially in rural areas, whether they're doing farming, whether they're doing pottery, whether they're doing weaving, etc. It's still a job, and it's a very good job indeed. At the same time, I'd just like to also highlight that, when you judge a fish by its ability to fly, it will feel like it doesn't have any maybe worthiness in life.
Right.
And I think that is what especially the young girls in the rural areas usually feel. They usually feel like most of the time, since the urban women like or make this picture of people need to do particular jobs, and especially white-collar jobs, they cannot be able to fit in,
Yes.
So I think it's important, even for you guys in the media, when you're bringing personalities on TV, especially women, etc. It's not all about talking about maybe top 40, under 40, etc. What about the top 40, under 40, who are doing mechanical work?
Yes.
Who are maybe, say, in the NGO world, down in the village, working on water issues, working on health issues, working on maternal issues, nutrition issues, etc. Bring other women who I think the rural women can be able to relate to a little bit better, because those top 40, under 40 women, I don't know, they also came out from somewhere, but they usually not tell these young women their story.
Right. So it's more about representation of the entire country, who we are, and especially as women.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Euphrasia. Very well articulated. What can you say, guys, to that? The role of the media, and especially in telling in telling the story of, you know, that woman on the ground, that the power of one story, as you were saying. What can you say to that, Juliani?
I think sometimes it doesn't take media, because media cannot go everywhere, but I think it's for those kind of people with those kind of stories to be bold enough to tell their stories. You know, like our mothers, and if you go to Dandora or Kibera right now, the people who wake up early in the morning are women wakiwa na kale ka basket, wakienda kuhasu. Unaona, so they should not look down upon themselves. They should be bold enough and say, sisi ni akina nani, and this is what we're doing, and this is what we've been able to do with our small resources.
Okay. Yeah. Rosa, is there room for these women? Is there room for Wanjiko and
Yes.
the fact that she is out there, she's on the ground, she's dealing with her priorities, and how do we create a platform that is lasting for her?
One of the main goals for Wezesha Dada in Jamii as a campaign is to actually encourage people to tell their stories. So we have a hashtag Tell Our Stories, where we are encouraging people to bring stories that they think are so unique. One of the stories we have is a story of Akira Chicks. They are based at the iHub. Nobody knew who Akira Chicks were until that young lady sat next to President Obama at the GES. And he actually said, I've learned something that I didn't even know. Up to now, I still don't understand what coding is.
Right.
But there are chicks who do coding. So it's something technical. It's women who are doing cutting edge things. There's a story you have of a girl who provides food for hungry children, for children who don't have enough food in their houses, so that they can go to school and learn better. We're looking for unique stories, not stories that, you know, are so common and are hard. So people are doing different things, and they're not necessarily saying that we want to fit into the mold that people have always fit into.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, of course, as we're talking about the role of media, I think it's important we talk about social media. In our preamble, we saw that there's a Facebook interactive game, and especially for young people. Kenyans have a lot of power, especially on social media.
Yes.
And we've seen it.
Yes.
And we have proven it to the world.
Yes.
They have a lot of time or a lot of power.
Exactly. So I wanted to talk about harnessing that time and that power for a different conversation online. Because our conversations seem to meander into trolling, into hate, into funny, hilarious jokes. But, you know, what are we talking about? And especially for young people, let's talk about use of social media and how a hashtag like Wezesha Dada can become the thing that we talk about, rather than, you know, very useless, mundane, you know, issues that don't add value to Kenyans' lives. Juliani, unaweza semaje? Who tweet?
I moved to it, but I think the stories and the things that are going on in social media are necessary sometimes. Hizo ujinga ni poa, saa zingine inakufanya uende nje. But truth of the matter is that the representation of women on social media, how women are depicted yani kwa social media. So I think shida yangu sio wale wanaume wanafanya hizo. Shida yangu most of the time ni women that are accepted. You know, women that are accepted, that Mugo nani Wairimo wasona, they rather talk about another angle of that story than the real issues, that this guy did this and we saw this.
Right.
Unaona, si ati kwanza kuongea angle ingine ya jokes and everything. So if something is serious, let's handle it that way. If it's not, maybe try to check it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Rosa, what can you say?
I would say that social media is powerful. Like, we have a Facebook game. I'm really hoping that it will become bigger than Candy Crush.
Which I think she's addicted to, guys. Let me just tell you the truth. No. So, yes, and we will actually connect you guys to those interactive games on our social media platforms, but explain that to us.
The Facebook game is really about showing the story of a young lady called Radhika, and she's traveling across the globe to different countries and facing different issues. But the best thing about our game is that we've removed the option of people having to donate money to the cause by having Johnson & Johnson donate $500,000 so that you don't have to donate anything. You just have to win a stage. And then after you win, you get the option of giving books to a library for a girl to actually have books, or a heifer for a girl that's farming, a pastoralist community. So that all these things are actually enhancing families through empowering a girl child. So it's where we're saying that we're actually doing games for change, games for development. So it's an interesting game, and it's the inspiration of other games that we have, mobile games.
I love that. Okay, we have another caller from on the line, and I hear he might be famous. Good morning.
Morning to you.
Hi, how are you, Oletama?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you, my dear?
Good. You know, even you're a celeb. Like Giuliani.
Yeah, I know Giuliani very well.
You're an actor. You're the actor from Nowhere in Africa, aren't you?
Yeah, no, in Africa and
Yeah.
so many movies.
Exactly. Thank you so much for calling. You'd like to contribute to the conversation?
Yeah, first of all, you look beautiful this morning.
Oh, thanks, man. Even my sister.
Okay, I know all about you. Anyway, the video of the song, it's nice. It's really touching.
Okay.
Hello, are you listening?
Yes, we can completely hear you. Go for it.
Yeah, the video is really touching. The master, Mama Kiosha Mtoto, the video is good.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it.
Thank you.
All right?
Yes.
It's a good message. It's a powerful message to everybody all over the world. We have been discussing last night, and it's really nice. Thank you so much, Juliana. Let me tell you, Juliana, something. And don't kill me for this. You have one mistake. Most of the people complaining, they don't have what you're saying. Yani, Kenya unasema watu hawasikii. So stop rushing a lot. Let us hear Kenya unasema. Are you listening to me?
Nakupata.
Hapo ndo kuna shida. All your music is good, but the problem is one. Akisikiangi venye unasema. The lady anaimba.
Anaangusha tu matracks haraka haraka.
Yes, anapiga haraka haraka bwana. Sisi ni analog bwana. Wacha kuna kupiga haraka haraka.
Digital.
Hakuna kuwa digital mingi.
All right, wacha basi ndamwambia angushe tracks hii usikie vizuri.
Like your song, kuna one of your song tumetumia in a good life. Hebu angalia good life movie. Kuna song yako tumetumia
kwa good life. Nice.
Na siwe sikaranga. The introduction is nzuri. Lakini ukifika huko nje unaharibu. So, unaharibu, right? But anyway, thank you so much.
Wow.
The message is powerful.
Thank you.
Yeah, mnapendeza. Nitakuja kuanulia breakfast.
Aya, asante sana Oletama. Salimia kila mtu Lodwa. It's wonderful.
Salamia mbunge wa kwetu Olekei. Salamia sana ukione hapo.
Tumesalimika. Yeah, matrack zako ziko na mbio.
Actually it's slow. For me look like unajua. But I think one of the things that I understand that. So and hapo kwa mavasi ndio kuna uzito, yani nimeka uzito zote. So I get, but what we can do is that we write down the lyrics and we share them on social media.
Okay.
So you can easily read through what my mind, the process and what I was thinking.
And sing along.
Exactly. But Pio, if you're keen enough, actually you can. Maybe you just heard it once. So if you go back to it, go on YouTube and search for it. Of course, Nikosho get lyrics.
So we should track your mascara.
That's our lyrics.
Okay, I want to talk about something important. That call came from Lodwa,
yes.
And we are watched across all 47 counties. Mm-hmm. What I think a lot of people will see is they'll see an organization like Show Force, mm-hmm. Based in New York with the George Clooney's and mm-hmm. Gabrielle Unions of the world. Giuliani is here. How do we start to evolve these kind of projects, these kind of campaigns, so that whoever is in Lodwa, this young woman who is in Machakos, can start to do a little bit in her own community, and we see, a ripple effect, some results from that. Is this something that Show Force is working on in taking this campaign countrywide and involving other organizations or individuals that are doing the same thing?
Mm-hmm. Yes, because it's a pilot project,
okay.
Funded by USAID to just test how transmedia tools actually help in changing attitudes and behaviors using the media. And so far in our midterm reviews, we are getting awesome results. In Kibera, we have a couple. This is an amazing story I like to repeat. Mm-hmm. There's a guy who's a watchman in Kibera who came for like our 8-week sessions, where you actually do maybe, I'll pick an example, gender-based violence. So they learn about it, then they watch our educational piece, and then they actually look at an app, and also pregnancy health. Learn about pregnancy, play the pregnancy game, which is a 9-minute game, and then watch something about it. And this guy did different courses over 8 weeks. And one of the courses that actually struck a chord with him was the economic empowerment course. And then he confided in the facilitator and says, listen, I have a problem in my home. Being a watchman, I come in the morning. Then my wife just gives me breakfast, I sleep, then she goes and actually just stays out in the streets talking to vendors. She comes at lunchtime, she makes me food, she does the same thing. She's idling. And I need for her to change her attitude. I want her to come to these courses.
Okay.
By the end of the 8-week courses, the wife had joined and she had gotten herself a job, and now they have 2 incomes. And for him, he's like, we cannot stop doing these courses. So it's where we're saying we're actually getting a lot of impact with this. So we want to scale this up because it's actually something that works. When people use transmedia tools, they understand things better. It's not too much about workshops and doing things that people don't make sense. When we give kids games to play, they understand what deworming is and what pregnancy is. If you've been caught up and you're pregnant at 15, by the 9th month, you know what you're supposed to be doing for your child in the womb.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we touch on this as we wind up, the role of men when it comes to these issues that especially affect women. And on this show, many times when we're talking about girl power and women and empowerment, what you find is that, of course, there's that loophole where guys will say, oh, by the way, when do we start focusing on the boy child? When do we create an even playing field? It's been decades. We're still talking about the girl child. Why is this conversation still pertinent today as it was 20 years ago? Juliani?
I think men wanaweza jisort. But I'm just joking. But I think wanaume jipange. But I think first of all is the first step is the women to be bold enough to be bold enough with who they are and to be sure of themselves when of course when they're presenting themselves and what they can do. As far as men I think wanaume wanapenda juu kuna warembo around, wanaume watashape up. Okay. If women want this kind of man, a man who has a job, a man who's well kept, men will make sure they fit to that description. So I think it's women to be bold enough and to be clear about who they are and what they want, and then the men will shape up easy.
All right, girl power. Rosa, what can you say to that?
I think we can't stop talking about it because we've been talking about it for 20 years. We should ask ourselves, why have we been talking about it? It's because when a boy is born, the systems are in place. For the girl in many countries, when Nicholas Kristof was writing that book, he found out this is not an issue just in America where you go to the hood and you see that the girl is being beaten by her husband. It's a cross-cutting issue across many countries, that the systems are a bit warped, that cultures usually set the girl maybe 50 years back. If you're saying that a girl has to go through the cut, and that makes her eligible for marriage, even at the age of 13, ask yourself, which boy at the age of 12 is being forced into a marriage with a 40-year-old woman? So you actually ask yourself, what are the issues for the boy child usually? It's just maybe poverty and mentorship in most cases. If the boy gets money to go to school, he'll thrive. If he's mentored, he'll become a very promising individual. But for the girl, if you deal with these attitudes and behaviors over time, that's the only way she has a chance. We like to measure the success of a woman sometimes looking at the urban areas. So then you come to Nairobi and you say, but there are all these girls. When we're interviewing people, we get more CVs for women now than we used to. So there's the boy child is being marginalized. But I usually like to remind people, you are not Nairobi. You're really, if girls in Lodwar do not go to school, that's who you are. If 90% of the population is poor, that's who you are, even if you live in Nairobi, even if you're a billionaire, because that's the definition of most of your country.
Right. And
you're one. So you can't be measured just by the urban societies.
We are all responsible. It takes a village, a community, and a globe. Guys, thank you so very much. Of course, before we go, what kind of interaction do you want from our viewers? What is it that you guys want this campaign to do? Rosa, interaction, involvement, and especially from young people. What are your expectations?
I want to say use social media positively. I see a lot of clips that are so inspiring. Do you have a local story in Kenya about a girl that you haven't seen, that you think needs to be seen? That's 3 minutes. Can you share it on your Facebook page?
Okay.
Can you visit our website, wezesha.org, and actually upload that clip there? Visit our page, now Wezesha Dada on Facebook, and actually say that there are unique stories that you guys haven't seen. Bring the stories to the forefront. Let us introduce the stories to Nation TV, to Citizen TV, to KTN. Let the media help journalists actually to get these stories, because sometimes you guys have your work cut out for you.
Yeah.
And even though you have good ideas, you might want to be in all these places, but you can't. But we can be your eyes. We have phones. So let's use the media positively to actually change people's attitudes and behaviors.
All right, Juliani, parting words.
Asante kwa chai, at least.
Yo chai badhi na katamu, mimi hata nimepewa hapa.
At least kuna chai, normally huwa ni glasi tu imewekwa hapo. Anyway.
That's not true. Yo ni ile station ulienda last week, but then niliwaona.
I think one of the most beautiful things about being a Kenyan is the right time to be Kenyan, Sai. When I get so we just want people to be bold enough to be themselves with their issues, with their issues, yani, and with their successes. Let's just be bold with what we have. Let's be proud of what we have as Kenyans, and you'll be surprised what can happen. Because sometimes we always think somebody else is the one supposed to be talking, you know, and yet your background, your experiences, it will help somebody else to even be better. So hata kama story yako ni ndogo aje, still your story. Hakuna mtu anza kunyang'anya, anza kunyang'anya nguo badala ya kunyang'anya story yako.
Very well said. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I was a lot more nervous than I am now when we started. I think it went well. I think it went great. Thank you for being here. Right, we asked you a question earlier on the show. There it is on your screen one more time. Which black woman was the first to develop the patent for closed-circuit television security? And the answer to that is Marie Van Britten Brown, brilliant woman. Of course, we're talking about women in technology and innovation earlier. All right, the winners are Cash, Joffrey, Hamper, Sitine Kips, and another hamper to Cynthia Leah. Right. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. Make the day count. Be wonderful to girls and women. All right, and if you are a woman and a girl, step out because you are wonderfully, beautifully, and fearfully made. You need to walk around like you know it. Thank you, guys. All right. We'll see you right here tomorrow morning. Thank you. Have a great day. We'll leave you with some beautiful music. Bye. Julia.
All the pain, all the heart, I should be afraid.